I am Taylor Preaching in Stud 4300, and my first element of the 8 was point of view. I use best for remembering acronyms for repetition wise, so constantly repeat it. I went for point of view. Whenever it's to reach through something, it's you do so from front of you, and it's the place from which you are viewing something, and it's what you're looking at and how you are seeing it. And some questions that come along with that is, how are you looking at a situation? Is there another way that could be considered? Or is my point of view or someone else's point of view specifically the only reasonable view? And like I said, as for, it's also known as frame of reference, perspective, and for orientation, and it is literally the place from which you view something, and it includes what you're looking at and the way you see it. Next.
That would be me. So I'm Lisa. I don't know, can you see me in here? And my element was purpose, goal, and objective. An acronym that I came up for to remember it is PGO, which obviously is purpose, goal, and objective. And it would be the reason why someone does what they do, or something that's done to create meaning. Where an example would be the purpose of homework is so that you can check what you've learned. And some of the question that would be good for it is, what's the purpose of doing the homework? Like I said, it goes along with the example. So you're doing the homework to make sure that you've learned and retained the information that your professors taught you. My second one was questions at issues. The acronym I came up for it would be QAI, would be how I would remember it. Questions simply my definition would be to ask and be inquisitive, wanting to know or to get better answers to statements that have been made. For an example, does anybody have any questions before we begin the work? You're asking somebody to giving an open question, asking them, hey, can you want more information before we start the assessment? That's my takeaway from it. So who has information?
Me. Okay, I'm Ava, and mine is information. The acronym I came up with is INFO, easy, and it stands for including news, facts, and observations. Basically, information is different materials such as like data, evidence, but most importantly, it has to be like precise, clear, and correct. Sometimes it even includes like different experiences that you've had. Basically, anything that helps you figure things out could be information. Who has interpretation?
Okay, I have interpretation and inference. So, can you hear me?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I can.
Yeah, who has information?
Huh?
Did anybody?
Can I go?
Could you not hear me?
Hello? Yeah, I can hear you.
You could hear me?
Yeah.
So did you not hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you.
I think Natalie's next to go.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Natalie's next.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Natalie, do yours.
Okay, just go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Okay, so I have, for my element of thought, I have interpretation and inference, which is conclusions and solutions. Regarding the elements of thought, when in discussing interpretation and inference, I like to think of that as like, it can be used like scientifically. An inference is a conclusion that we come to by analyzing information. It is inductive reasoning where you are looking at the facts and then making a conclusion from those facts. Interpretation is an inference from a specific point of view where two people might have the same facts but with different points of view, and they may come to a different solution to the problem. So they may have a different way of looking at a specific topic. Conclusions make sense of the data because they are the unifying ideas of the research. And in a conclusion, we often find a solution to the question at issue, and it has been figured out. Interpretations and inferences must be logical. And some people may ask, what was the data interpreted correctly? I mean, was the data interpreted correctly? Was enough research done to come up with the most reasonable solution? What if I'm wrong? There's a lot of different questions that you might end up asking, but in reality, when we come to a good conclusion, it's only natural to feel like we're done discussing that topic. But when, in actuality, we must now work even harder to check the elements of thought, because any answer invariably will always end up leading us to asking more questions. If we could have come up with a different conclusion of sorts. That's all I have.
And next is concepts. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. I had that one, and it is mainly shaped by ideas. It is the acronym I used to remember it was CON, easy, known as ideas, theories, laws, principles, or hypotheses we use in thinking to make sense of things. Note that it must be clear about the concepts that you are using, and you must use them justifully. Some questions that could be asked about that is, what idea am I using in what kind of idea am I using in my thinking? And it's mainly, like I said, it's shaped by your ideas, and it's important. It's theories, definitions. Another question that can be used is, what main distinctions should we draw in reasoning through this problem? And that could, that could compare to any kind of multiple problems. And it is thinking to make sense, and it's thinking to make sense of things. Yeah, that was concepts. Next is assumptions.
Okay. Well, mine is assumptions. My name's Maria. What I came up with assumptions is that it's something that is thought of that is believed to be true without having any real proof. For example, let's suppose that I buy a new car, a new house, or take a vacation in the Bahamas. I'm constantly traveling, pay everything in cash. People might assume, oh, that person's rich, when I'm really not. It's just the fact that maybe I know how to administer money, or might have won a trip, or could have been many different reasons, and without knowing what the reason why behind it, people just assume, oh, that person's rich because she was able to do all of that, and have all of that. The next one would be implications and consequences. Implications are what is thought of next. In other words, they're ideas that come from other ideas. And consequences is what has to deal with actions. It has an effect on how people act and the results of those actions. For example, where we had our situation with Hurricane Harvey, people were asked to evacuate, and some of those decided not to. So they encountered a consequence of staying behind, running the risk of being flooded in, and most of them ended up, a lot of them ended up getting flooded in with their house and had to pay the consequences of waiting days, hours, and time in order to get rescued. Also, another example could be when someone has a promotion at work, they become a manager or higher than what they were, they encounter more responsibilities for their job, which makes them not only responsible for their job, but also the consequence would be is having responsibility of others as well. So that is where they encounter a consequence based on what, you know, they have implied on them as being the new job. And that concludes our 8 elements.
And it's for group 3.
Yes, for group 3.